Hello everyone. We continue with Chapter 3, Part 4. It seemed like morning came altogether too early. I sighed, splashed my face with cold water to clear my wits, and headed for the common room. The captains and several other men were already there, including Inoue and Yamazaki. "Good morning." They nodded or mumbled return greetings, but their faces were universally dour after the night's events. I heard Inoue and Yamazaki mention Shimada's name and edged over to listen in on their conversation. How is he doing?" asked Inoue. The hit knocked him out," said Yamazaki, "but aside from some bruises, he seems to be fine. He'll be back on duty soon." I sighed with relief and felt some of the tension leave my neck. If Shimada had been seriously hurt guarding me... "Oh, Chizuru," said Yamazaki, "Shimada wanted to apologize to you for not doing a better job." "What? I'm the one who should be apologizing to him." I felt the conversation in the room ebb and turned to see Kondou walk through the door. He was usually calm and collected, but today his face was especially stern. Something was wrong, but what? "Oh, what's happened?" asked Inoue. "You've got a scary enough face to begin with, Kondou. Now you're just terrifying." Look, you're even scaring her." No, I'm not scared." I waved my hands desperately, and the men laughed. "Sorry about that," said Kondou. He gave me a tight grin, then looked down, his face grim. "Please, just tell us what happened. Is it bad?" "Well, you'll find out soon enough, I suppose," said Kondou. He wasn't just talking to me anymore. The rest of the men moved closer to hear what he had to say. "Nishihongwanji doesn't want the Shinsengumi here anymore," said Kondou. "They're telling us to leave, you mean?" said Yamazaki. "Well, they didn't say that in so many words, but yes." "I had a feeling this day would come eventually," said Inoue, "but now that it's here, what should we do?" The monks at the Nishihongwanji temple were imperialists and allies of the Choshu. They'd never been fond of the Shinsengumi, but we'd decided to force our way into their temple anyway. It was no surprise they wanted us out, but I'd finally begun to feel like the temple was my home. On a more practical level as well, it was far more convenient for our work in Kyoto. I was sure I wasn't the only one who felt that way. "Still, this is awfully sudden," said Yamazaki. "Do you think last night's incident triggered this?" "I don't have to think. I know," said Kondou. "They don't want fighting on the temple grounds. I'm sure someone else has a hand in this too. Choshu, maybe, or Satsuma. The fight the night before had only happened because of me." "I'm sorry, this is all my fault," I said. "Not true," said Kondou. "We came to this temple and forced them to yield to our admittedly unreasonable demands." "But what are we going to do?" asked Yamazaki. "If we have to move, then we need to start looking for a new location." "Actually, we don't," said Kondou. "We'll be provided with a new site, courtesy of the Nishihongwanji temple." "That's awfully generous," said Inoue. "They must really want us gone." Yes, on both counts, said Kondou, which is why I decided to accept their offer. Things are going to get busy around here soon. A plot of land was purchased and a new compound built, all paid for by the Nishihonwanji temple. It became the third headquarters of the Shinsengumi, the Fudodo village location. By the time summer came, the Shinsengumi had left Nishihonwanji, where they'd spent more than 2 years. November 1867. A gust of wind stripped some of the last stubborn leaves from the trees and sent them skittering across the Kyoto street. It was cold and bit into me through my clothes. I shivered. It's almost winter, isn't it? Yeah, the wind's gotten pretty cold lately, said Harada. Still, we don't have it too bad during the day. I can't imagine how cold it gets for the night, guys. It was November and the temperature was definitely dropping, although it had yet to get cold enough for us to see our breath during patrol. Are your hands cold? Asked Harada. Would you like me to hold them? I'm not that cold. I'll be fine. Oh? I'd noticed someone walking toward us. Hey, Chizuru, said Nagakura. Sano, what do you think you're doing? You're supposed to be working, not screwing off and hitting on poor defenseless girls on the street. Hey, not everybody's a gigolo like you, said Harada. She looked cold. I'm just trying to be a gentleman. Oh, hey, hello, Nagakura. Nagakura's patrol took him on a different route than ours. It was only luck that we'd happened to meet in one of the few places they overlapped. Their bickering might have looked odd to a passerby, but I knew it for the sign of deep friendship that it was. What's up? Said Nagakura. Why are you grinning like that? Probably thinks your face is funny, Shinpachi, said Harada. You really ought to do something about that thing. No, it's just, well, I was just remembering when we met up like this before, like the time I met Kaoru. I was with Okita and Heisuke then, though. Oh, more than 6 months had passed since Saito and Heisuke had left to join the guardians of the imperial tomb. Harada and Shinpachi's faces turned grim as I trailed off. I shook my head, hoping vainly to cast off unpleasant thoughts. I just mean there's been so much going on lately. It makes me nostalgic. The Shinsengumi has changed, said Harada. Hell, so has the rest of the world. Yes, like the shogunate handing power over to the imperial court. Nagakura nodded as I spoke with the air of a pleased teacher encouraging a student. Yes, very good, said Nagakura. Now, do you know how the loss of Ito and his followers affected the Shinsengumi? Well, we have fewer members now. You're half right, said Nagakura. True, we have lost some of our men. Those who were staunch imperialists were the first to leave. That meant that most of the guys who stayed were loyalists, said Harada. Not all of them, though. Yeah, you remember when Kondou got promoted into direct service to the shogun and we all became shogunate vassals, said Nagakura. Not everybody was happy about that. That was right around the time we moved to Fudodo village. Several more men had wanted to leave. Some of them had been given permission to go, but others were told that wasn't an option and were forced into the Fury Corps. Kondou's promotion had changed the Shinsengumi's relationship with the shogun. Where before we'd only been philosophically aligned with the shogun, now we answered directly to him. For some people, that was a serious problem. How do you guys feel about being vassals of the shogun? I'm not really a fan, said Harada. Yeah, I didn't do all this work just so I could be a retainer for the shogun, said Nagakura. Neither of them was very happy with it then, Nagakura especially. We kept walking for a few blocks, talking about this and that, before Harada yawned quietly. Your droning is putting me to sleep, Shinpachi. You can tell him to shut up too if he's boring you, you know, said Harada. Oh no, I'm fine. I like listening to Nagakura talk about things. You see, Sano, she's a good girl, said Nagakura. Unlike you. Now, shall we continue? What do you know about the Meiji Emperor's ascension 2 months ago and the restoration of imperial rule last month? Just a reminder, the Meiji Emperor ascended to the throne in 1867 after the death of Emperor Komei. Well, the restoration was when the Tokugawa shogunate returned power over the government to the emperor, right? I don't really know much about it. Well, you know enough. That's pretty much it. A man named Ryoma Sakamoto from the Tosa domain was the one who figured out a way for the emperor to regain power without destroying the shogunate, said Nagakura. And this Ryoma Sakamoto was a Ronin from Tosa who negotiated the alliance between Satsuma and Choshu for the purpose of overthrowing the Tokugawa shogunate. He played a crucial part in restoring imperial rule. Unfortunately, Nagakura continued, in doing so he managed to anger both the loyalist and imperialist factions and earned the enmity of both. At any rate, the restoration means that Tokugawa has lost all real authority, said Nagakura. At least that's the official story. In reality, said Harada, he's keeping a lot of his power. The government just can't function without someone to hold the reins. The Satsuma are up to something too, but we don't know what. Still, the world's not going to change overnight. I see. As I looked around the city, it seemed like he had a point. Nothing much seemed to have changed. Inns were still bustling with travellers, tea shops were still smelling delicious. Life continued just as it always had, regardless of what the shogun was or wasn't doing. The city might look the same as it always had, but time flowed on regardless, and a great wave was coming that would carry all of us away. I looked up at Nagakura and something occurred to me that I hadn't thought of before. Before I realized what I was doing, I'd already opened my mouth. I didn't realize you were so smart, Nagakura. You know a lot about politics. Didn't realize? Said Nagakura. Wait, just what did you think of me?